A new study shows that when it comes to economic interaction, when trying to sell things, people are less likely to buy from an African American than they are from a white person. In a year-long study, this university put false ads on Craigslist and sites like that where they were selling iPhones, and it would be a picture of the person's hand who was holding the iPhone. They were black, white, and saw which ones were more likely to make a sale or which ones were more likely to have an interaction. Overall, the white hands had a far better chance of making a sale and a far better chance of even getting interaction like offers and whatnot. It also showed that there was some degree of prejudice towards people with tattoos. Our paper asked the following question, the authors write. When the typical person engages in a consumer transaction, usually a buyer, does he or she try to avoid dealing with minority sellers? And does he or she treat minority sellers differently? The answer appears to be yes. What the study determined was black sellers were 13% less likely to get contacted and 17% less likely to get an offer for the product, and that it even showed that when the offers were made, they were 2 to 4% less for the same product offered by a white hand. They also showed that during the study that white sellers were treated with more respect than black sellers were. The study also found the following, that when it came to having black sellers, 7% fewer people signed their names to the communications, 44% were less likely to accept delivery by mail, and 56% were more likely to be concerned about using a long-distance paying system like PayPal. This study even showed that there was racism in those who didn't even respond to the ads. If an ad is flagged enough times as being a scam or being false, it will be taken down. What the study found was that a sale of a product with a black hand was 2.7% more likely to be taken down than one where the product was being held by a white person. The study also demonstrated that this prejudice is also alive and well in retail as well, since the study did go on the premise that when you bought the product, you did have to meet the person in person, like you actually had to physically meet them. Again, they were more likely to want to meet a white person than a black person. And this has also been reflected in many of the hiring rates of retail stores, and it does explain why there's a much higher rate of employment in retail and in employment in general among white people than there is among African Americans. Does this prove that capitalism is racist? No. What it does show is that capitalism is incapable of ending racism. What this is an example of is structural racism. By the sheer interaction, the quote-unquote voluntary interaction with exchanges between people is allowed to be racist and allows that to exist. So when we have these things like wanting to get rid of affirmative action, don't tell me what to do with my property and who I am and am not allowed to sell to, this enables racism, and thus consequently ends up being mostly supported by racists. The sheer free market transaction, or the idea of quote-unquote voluntary exchange, perpetuates racism. It's not capable of actually dealing with racism and ending it. Support for the free market is a support for racism to continue because it has no ability to end that racism. And capitalism structurally supports the idea of racism continuing. It is not inherently racist itself, but it is a structure which perpetuates racism because it gives racists the tools by which to continue their racist behavior. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe or check out some of these other great videos. If you wish, share it on social media. While you're at it, why don't you follow me on Twitter? And if you got time, go on over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.